Good evening, Bahamas. I'm Christina McNeil, and this is MB12 for Monday, June 4th, 2012, broadcasting from the Cable 12 studios on Robinson Road. In news tonight, the man police believe is responsible for shooting an officer over the weekend is arraigned. The National Security Minister reaches out to family members of the officers recently shot in the line of duty. The much-anticipated launch of Urban Renewal 2.0, the Defense Force says it needs $100 million to fulfill its mandate, and what BlackBerry has in store for the Caribbean. We have those stories and much more coming up tonight. Your NB12 starts right now. Thanks for joining us. Security was tight today at the South Street Court complex as the man police allege is behind the death of a police officer was arraigned. Paige McCartney was at court today and filed this report.
The Nassau Street Court complex on high security lockdown today with a full contingent of senior officers and high-powered weapons guarding the perimeter as a number of known accused criminals were brought before the courts to answer charges to a number of major matters.
25-year-old Reginald Chase of Matthew Street, Nassau Village, the man who allegedly shot a police officer in the upper neck before escaping from custody at Princess Margaret Hospital Saturday, pleaded not guilty to the charges of escaping police custody and possession of an unlicensed firearm and ammunition, the same firearm police claim he stole from the police officer that was eventually attacked and shot. Arraigned before Chief Magistrate Roger Gomez, Chase was also charged with the attempted murder of that officer, Constable 3337 Herman Pinder. Pinder is in the intensive care unit at Doctors Hospital with the bullet from the attack still lodged in his chest near his spinal cord. As the charges were read in court today, Chase grunted repeatedly and said that he couldn't wait to get out of there and be taken to prison. But prior to allegedly attacking the constable, Chase was in custody facing 2 charges of rape and 3 charges of armed robbery, which all allegedly occurred on January 7th. During a press briefing this morning, Commissioner of Police Allison Greenslade spoke about the ordeal, calling it unfortunate. He said the young constable was simply carrying out his duties and following the proper procedure, allowing his prisoner every right he is entitled to.
As per procedures, the medical attention was sought. It's unfortunate, very unfortunate, that he was allowed to be at the hospital alone at that hour of the morning with a person of the reputation of the young man that he had in his custody. But as for him, the officer, he did everything correctly. And I've had the ability to review the CCTV footage. And I'm satisfied that he was professional at every turn.
Greenslade said as a result of that attack, policies have been permanently changed on how to handle prisoners and more changes are being discussed.
We've already changed the policy, and what I will document now is the fact that the rotation that we have put at hospital remains. 2 armed, properly trained police officers per shift at any of the hospital, so that if an officer even comes alone with a person properly cuffed, you now have 3 police officers having notice of that person. And so yes, we will be revising the policy.
Despite the 2 recent attacks on officers of the police force, the other one leaving a police reservist dead, the commissioner said he isn't concerned that the public and criminals may be losing regard for law enforcement. He said the attacks also haven't diminished his or any other officer's urge to fight crime.
The commissioner has had his times. I've looked up in the ceiling of a hospital many times, having been knifed in the line of duty in my uniform. High noon, with people looking on a suspect saying, "I will MF kill you." Had my ribs broken and laying in a hospital bed looking up in the ceiling all alone. But hasn't diminished my love for what I do, love for the people of this country, and my resolve is as firm as it was when I was a young constable. No complaints. And I know all of you feel the same.
Chase's matter will be fast-tracked to the Supreme Court by way of a voluntary bill of indictment. Police were expected to bring charges against a teenager today with the murder of 56-year-old Dennis Clark, the police reservist who was shot to death when he was robbed while off-duty outside Superwash. However, that didn't happen today. Police have not announced when he will in fact appear before the courts.
There were also a number of other important matters that were heard in court today.
Police also brought charges against Stephen Dye Stubbs in connection with the 2009 murder. 37-year-old Stubbs, who was arrested at his residence in White Court, Ridgeland Park last week, was charged before Magistrate Gilomita Archer with abetment to the murder of Delano Morris on August 21st of that year. Stubbs' mother sat in the courtroom nodding her head as the charges were read. The accused was represented by attorney Krista Mason-Smith on behalf of Muriel Ducille, who argued that her client was arrested for an incident that occurred on May 30th of this year, but is now being charged for an incident that took place 3 years ago. She said the charge is a deliberate attempt by police to keep her client in custody. Representing the Crown was Deputy Director of Public Prosecutions Franklin Williams. The matter will continue in the Supreme Court by way of a voluntary bill of indictment on July 4th. Stubbs was wanted last week for questioning in connection with a recent shooting at Baller's nightclub on East Bay Street that left 1 man dead and 7 others in hospital. He's been remanded to prison. Also answering to murder charges in court number 10 today was 19-year-old Dwayne Kelly of Palm Beach Street. He stands accused of the May 18th murder of Fenariel Simmons. He was not represented by an attorney. His matter will also proceed by a VBI in the Supreme Court on July 4th. He was also remanded to prison. Reporting for MB12, I'm Paige McCartney.
Well, National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage also expressed concern over that horrific incident at Princess Margaret Hospital over the weekend. The former Minister of Health says they must ensure that those security measures put in place by the Commissioner of Police are effective. He says he also met with Herman Pinder's family, as well as the children of the police reservists killed on Thursday. Fanique Toot reports.
Their duty is to serve and protect. However, within a 48-hour period, 2 law enforcement officers became the victims of violent crimes. An off-duty police reservist died in hospital after being shot outside Superwash on Prince Charles Drive Thursday night. Then, on Saturday morning, Officer Herman Pinder was shot with his own gun at Princess Margaret Hospital by an armed robbery suspect. While their colleagues were investigating both shooting incidents, National Security Minister Dr. Bernard Nottage was meeting with their distraught family members. Nottage says both families were clearly upset, but they appeared to be understanding.
When I saw the family, a son and daughter of the reserve officer who was killed, well, obviously they were very distressed, but I think they understood the situation. It really was not in the course of his duty, and it really was a robbery. In the case of officer who was shot, his mother was very understanding, and we assured her that he would get access to the best medical care we could give him and seek to restore him back to his full health.
The National Security Minister described the shooting incident at Princess Margaret Hospital as unfortunate. He told reporters he does not feel competent to comment at this point on what procedural changes should be made when officers are guarding suspects at PMH. He noted, however, that the Commissioner of Police has already deployed officers to certain sections of the facility.
We have to make sure that that is an efficient operation. In other words, that there are always officers there to provide the kind of security that the staff need. But separate and apart from that, visitors can bring all sorts of things into the institution, and so it's very important that we shore up the security for persons who are hospitalized while they are recovering from either injuries or where they have been victims or where they have been perpetrators.
Officer in charge of the Southwestern Division, Superintendent Wayne Miller, was also upset over Saturday's shooting, as Pinder was assigned to the Carmichael Road Police Station. He told NB12 that at one point an incident like this was unthinkable. However, it proves that times have changed.
Officers are fully cognizant that this comes with the territory, it comes with the job, but of course it causes everyone to heighten their awareness when dealing with prisoners at all times. We cannot let our guard down, regardless of where we are transporting or taking prisoners. So there's a renewed sense of, awareness among the officers.
The National Security Minister says he will do all in his power to ensure that an incident like this one never happens again. Reporting for NV12, I'm Veronique Tude.
And a 47-year-old man is the country's most recent murder victim after he was fatally shot late Sunday night. Police say it was around 10:15 when the shooting reportedly took place at Washington Street off Cordo Avenue. Police have identified the victim as Owen Rose of Eastwood. Police are uncertain of the circumstances surrounding this latest shooting, and they're appealing to the public for assistance in this investigation. Police are also still searching for answers after skeletal remains were discovered on Exuma Saturday night. According to the police, officers on that island were acting on information when they went to Prime Key and discovered the remains with what appeared to be a rope around the neck. Police are still unsure of the gender of the victim or how long the remains have been there. If you have any information regarding this discovery, police are asking you to contact them at 919-911 or Crime Stoppers at 328-TIPS. Police have charged a 22-year-old with that robbery that took place at CIBC First Caribbean last week Thursday. Carlton Russell stands accused of using a mace to rob bank employees of more than $6,300. He was not required to enter a plea to the charge. In court today, Russell told Chief Magistrate Roger Gomez that the other man who was arrested in connection with the robbery had nothing to do with it. He said he has a medical problem and needed the money to help with the costs. The accused also told the court that he has a psychological problem and is suicidal. The court ordered that he receive medical treatment. Russell was remanded to Her Majesty's Prison and will have his case fast-tracked to the Supreme Court by way of a voluntary bill of indictment on October 4th. What the Progressive Liberal Party has repeatedly touted as one of the major solutions to the country's crime problem is now officially in effect. Urban Renewal 2.0 was launched today at police headquarters. Headed by Superintendent Stephen Dean and Superintendent Carolyn Bowe, the program brings together police and civilians as a form of community-based policing. 41 officers were today assigned stations at 9 centers across New Providence, including Centerville, Camp Road, Nassau Village, Pinewood, Baines and Grantstown, Englerston, St. Cecilia, Fort Charlotte, and Fox Hill. According to Commissioner of Police Elliston Greenslade, the officers assigned to the program have a serious job of preventing crime and improving the quality of life in the urban neighborhoods.
Members of the force who are assigned to the Urban Renewal Program 2.0 have an expanded scope of police work, which includes crime, the fear of crime, quality of life offenses, social and physical disorder, and community decay. You are expected to use a full range of talents, skills, and abilities to not only prevent and interdict crime, but to also enlarge your role and become community problem solvers.
Although police are heading the program, Urban Renewal and the budget for the program fall under the Ministry of Works and Urban Development. Therefore, Greenslade was unable to provide details on how much the program will cost taxpayers. The commissioner said the community-based policing program is one of the most ambitious crime prevention programs in the history of the Bahamas, with a comprehensive approach to tackling the issues affecting high-crime communities.
Your everyday general duties should focus on law enforcement issues. General police duties which are consistent with our mandate in law. Nothing that you do should ever distract you from your mandate in law. That is what you're hired to do. That is what you're paid to do. Beyond that, we expect that you will pay attention to directed patrols. Not just in a police car willy-nilly with the windows rolled up, your air conditioning on, see nothing, do nothing, hear nothing. Alert, focused, paying attention, being perceptive, and making the intervention where necessary.